We ironically know these 19 because of the horrific thing that happened to them after their death, the desecration of their bodies, their skulls being preserved for hundreds of years, sitting there. This is actually an opportunity for us to recognize and commemorate the humanity of all of these individuals. Even though a lot of them weren't necessarily native New Orleanians, and that's a part of the research that's been done, it was just important to bring them back to this place where they spent their final hours.
There was a belief at the time that science, through the study of a person's skull, could determine a person's personality. We have enough scholarship which says that all kinds of experiments were done on black bodies, living and dead. It was quite emotional when we saw them the first time. It tells us what was done to people who had no agency over themselves. It is a demonstration of our own morality here in New Orleans and in Leipzig with the professors there who wanted to do something to restore the dignity of these people.
What up, folks? It's Trails. Welcome on a great, amazing, beautiful day. And definitely make sure you tap in and hit that like and hit that subscribe. Now, we've been giving it to it, these white supremacists lately. I'm talking about plantation after plantation burning. You got Lake Lanier still giving them the business. And now we got 19 skulls returned from racists in Germany. Now, then we got this article here from Capital B that breaks down the situation, what's going on with Dillard University and other situations as far as this one. Now, the article, stolen black remains return home after 150 years in European vault. Underneath oak trees and Spanish moss from Texas to the Carolina coast, the remains of black Americans lay in unmarked graves across roadside cemeteries and backyards. While some graves now remain hidden beneath highways and shopping malls, others have been stripped of their dignity in an even more insidious way. Nowhere is there more painfully clear than in New Orleans, where the remains of 19 black men and women, once spirited away across the ocean in the name of racist science, has finally come home. For 150 years, the remains languished in a German vault until at last they were brought home in May and honored with the jazz funeral this past weekend, and interned in a city that once denied them peace, both in life and death. Their journeys reveal the depths of exploitation endured by black Americans in the current movement to restore what was lost, name by name, soul by soul, said Eva Beham, a historian from Dillard University in New Orleans who led the Cultural Repatriation Committee to bring the remains back to the U.S. Shout out to her, by the way. Between December 1871 and January 1872, 19 people checked into the Charity Hospital in New Orleans. They were ordinary people whose final indignity came not in death, but in what followed. There was Marie Louise, who died of malnutrition. Her life ended quietly in the city she always called home. Haram Malone, just 21, succumbed to pneumonia far from the Alabama soil where he was born. Samuel Prince, a cook of 40 years, lost his battle with tuberculosis. And William Roberts, a 23-year-old man from Georgia, died from diarrhea. Damn. Their skulls were severed and shipped across the Atlantic, cataloged as specimens in a German Nazi university, as the pseudoscience of phrenology took root across the globe. The theories claim that there were connections between someone's intellect and morality with the size and shape of their skull. It was used to proliferate the false idea that black and brown people were inferior to white people. The skulls returned to the U.S. is believed to be the first major international restitution of the remains of Black Americans in Europe. The homecoming is a reckoning with the relentless cycle of exploitation, dispossession, and the erasure that has defined Black existence in America. Advocates behind the initiative explain. This moment calls for us to bear witness to a painful chapter in our collective history, while recognizing the unique role our institution plays in preserving the dignity and legacy of those who were wrongfully taken, said Monique Guillory, president of Dillard University, where the funeral service was held. This is more than an act of remembrance, it is restoration of humanity. From the theft of bodies for pseudoscience to the plundering of land and the forced migration that have scattered families and severe roots, Black Americans have repeatedly been ripped from the places and people that ground them, Baham said. The loss is ongoing and dictating the shape of the modern life, from the continued struggle for agency over one's body in the healthcare system to the demand for restitution and remembrance from the institutions that exacerbate racial inequality in the country. These people's lives have meaning, Baham said during the memorial. History is not to wallow in or whine about. It is to build on. It is to move forward. And we keep our past hidden and we're starting over every day, she added. In 2023, the University of Leipzig in Germany reached out to New Orleans City archaeologists, acknowledging that the skulls in their collection have been acquired in a colonial context and unethnically. What followed was a 2-year journey of coordination between city officials, state agencies, and academic partners. Researchers believe many of the 19 victims had once been enslaved, later moving freely in the uncertain years after the Civil War, only to fall ill or be institutionalized before dying at Charity Hospital. The hospital, which was abandoned after Hurricane Katrina in 2005, was one of America's oldest hospitals known to care for Black and poor people. Over the past 2 years, Baham's team has pierced together the glimpses into their lives. 13 men and 4 women, with 2 still unnamed. The committee tried for years to contact descendants of the victims, but had no success. At the memorial, a group of Dillard students read from the little info collected from hospital and census records, ending in the final chapter of their journey. Another voyage across the Atlantic, passing bones of enslaved Africans on the ocean floor, the students said, from Africa to the Caribbean to the United States of America, from New Orleans, Louisiana to Leipzig, Germany, from Leipzig, Germany to New Orleans, Louisiana. Justice carries 19 men and women home. May they walk freely in the city of God in dignity and honor. And they actually have the full memorial here you can watch. And first off, this is a great article. Definitely make sure if you like to read a lot, you check them out, Capital B. And my opinions on this situation is not only is that good, but there should be some type of financial reward for the returning of the skulls too, not just returning them and admitting the wrongdoing. There should be restitution as well that carries along with that error of the attempt to use pseudoscience to make Black Americans inferior. And so yeah, shout out to them. And yeah, it would be great to know the history of these folks, to know how far does their roots go into this country. So shout out to Dillard University for all the work they're doing in breaking this down and bringing them folks home. And it's another blow to white supremacy. And you know, they did a lot with those skulls. They probably also did a lot of testing of melanin to see the powers, to tap into that as well. It wasn't just pseudoscience about intelligence. It was also about everything, the soul, everything. So, yep, shout out to them folks for bringing them people home. And hopefully we can see more crackdowns of history like this, and especially from these universities. It shows that these universities are actually doing good deeds and not just learning liberal nonsense. And it's great. So what do you think about it? Make sure you leave a comment, and you definitely tap in and hit that like and hit that subscribe. And we got 19 skulls back from the Nazis. Hopefully we can get some more back, and some restitution, some reparations, everything, because it's definitely needed. We need a rewriting of history, a re-breakdown of what Americans should be learning as far as our historical civil events in academic education, everything. We need a supreme overhaul, since Black Americans are the original Americans. Because one thing that they're not saying about that is some of these people did not come from Africa. I repeat, did not come from Africa. I guarantee their family members did not come from Africa. There were plenty of Black people already on this land prior to the transatlantic slave trade. And we'll get into that later. I got a whole breakdown about that, the people, the names, the tribes. We got all the information, and all this information is available online. So it's easy to break it down, but that's for another time. But anyways, we out for this one. Thanks for watching. And as always, you know what that means. Deuces.